So I'm taking us back in time to July 2024. That was one of the worst months I ever had at offsite. In July 2024, I witnessed a procurement process that still baffles me to this day, and how a major copier manufacturer could condone the actions you're about to see unfold. July 9th, 2024. 7:06. Going to California this week. Got one more run. I also have to go to Albuquerque next week, and not for the sale guy who's based out of there, but just because of the volume of incompetent word. I mean, it's almost like, are you doing this on purpose? You're that bad up there. I mean, this is horrible. Going to be focusing on selling used copiers. I may have a large transaction coming up where I might be buying a bunch of copiers from a school district, looking to resell them. That could be the project is after the close of going and trying to get things sold. Whole list of stuff. Couldn't sleep last night. Don't sleep a whole lot these days. Haven't for a while. I think once I can kind of maybe get out of the stress of this business, that'll help me a little bit with sleeping better. So I'm in Ontario again. This is my last trip here for offsite. Fresno tomorrow. I thought that was. I flew from Phoenix to Ontario, California. From there, I'd walk about a third of a mile to the car rental lot, and there I would pick up a car on a one-way rental. Today, I'd work in Ontario and stay the night, and then early tomorrow morning, I'll hit the road early and drive up to Fresno and do an inventory at that warehouse, and then drive up to Sacramento and stay the night there. Then the next day in Sacramento, I'd get up early, go to the Sacramento warehouse, do an inventory, check on the office, talk to the driver, and then drive to the airport, drop the car off there, and fly back to Phoenix. Heading out. Heading to Fresno. 4:10 a.m. It's gonna be 115 up there today. It's 4.5 hour drive from here. Stayed here once during COVID. It was a ghost town. It's Embassy Suites in Ontario. Crazy how empty it was. July 11th, 9:23 a.m. Just had a call, 8:30 with Canon. We had on his Wade and Jason. Well, so a couple days ago, they let their technician go. They laid him off. That was working out of our branch. He was in charge of assembling equipment. They let us know that they were letting him go. Today's call, we were under the impression, was just to discuss what their move was going to be since they're letting him go. Our belief was maybe they were going to go ahead and start shipping the equipment in Phoenix from Southern California, which is similar to what they do in Albuquerque. And in today's call, they just told us that they're changing their business model and sending the equipment to a Canon dealer. They said there's still business there. It's not everything. It was vague. And then, so I don't know if that, I just can't see how that would be held up on and let him go like, oh, we don't have, so what do we have to do? Take away our whole distribution network. So we're trying to understand. I just had a call yesterday with Canon sales side of things, and they had no clue. They've got big transactions, and one of them was a regional sales director there too, and he was asking questions about a delivery for a large transaction that was going to be going down in the next 60 days. So there's a number of areas there where it doesn't look like they're aware of any sort of a change. One of the things I'm considering is if they're doing something similar as what Ricoh Konica did in the past, the OEMs, where they chopped off the smaller businesses, right? Where it's like under 100 employees or 200 employees, and that any of those accounts in that business, they are selling that portfolio off and pushing all that business over to independent dealers to take care of. And that's what happened with Konica. On their rural branches, they shut them down completely. Now, Phoenix isn't a rural branch. Is it the smaller businesses, and they focus on their Fortune 500 and state and local government businesses where they're more competitive anyway. That is a possibility, which could coincide with what they'd mentioned there about, well, this isn't everything. There's still opportunities and business to be had there. So I did ask, like, if we can figure out something on the technician side and how to have these installs. And they said, yeah, go ahead and send us any of your open suggestions. A lot of gray areas. So Rachel and I are going to put together a list of questions, and we're going to send them to probably Wade to see what kind of answers we can get. Because I just need to understand, know they won't tell us because it's so confidential right now. The industry doesn't know if Canon's lopping off and eliminating a big chunk of their stuff and sending it over to a dealer model. That's going to impact their sales teams, their people, and everything as well, where salespeople are going to be let go. Still an information gathering. I just don't know what this means. Is this, have we lost Canon? Has Canon outsourced a good chunk of their business? But then what does this play in terms of Albuquerque as well? Still a lot of questions right now to get answered, and then a lot of business decisions to be made as well. Today's July 12th, 2024, 3:30 in the morning. I couldn't sleep. My stomach was in knots and something about this whole situation just felt off. By early morning, I knew I needed to get back to Phoenix and start digging into this. I jumped into the shower and drove over to the Sacramento warehouse to do a quick inventory and walkthrough and managed to move up to an earlier flight home. It was like Canon was trying to give little slivers of hope, yet the reality underneath felt pretty dire. How did they land on the solution they did without ever reaching out to offsite? Copier companies are sales-driven organizations. If the equipment doesn't deliver, the sales don't book, the leases don't fund, revenue targets get missed. There's no way a distribution manager at Canon would face a major delivery challenge and somehow decide the only option was to send their equipment to a competitor to build and deliver to their customers. The optics alone are a nightmare. Imagine a competitor walking into their own warehouse, seeing Canon's order paperwork and instantly knowing every customer Canon has and what equipment they're getting. And because these machines haven't been delivered yet, that salesperson could, in theory, go after those customers before delivery. Copier sales is a cutthroat business. Even if just 1 or 2 copiers are being delivered at that time, that's still a lead for the competition. Proof that more lease upgrades are likely coming soon. There's no way Canon's sales side would ever agree to that kind of an arrangement. But that's a solution Canon and Wade told us they'd chosen. And what really bothered me was that no one ever asked Offsite what we could do to help. Their current vendor. We didn't have any conflicts. Their competitors don't walk through our warehouse. Their sales teams know us and actually want Offsite handling their deliveries. So what was I missing here? That question kept me up all night. July 12th, 2024. It's 4 in the morning. Just leaving the Sacramento office, heading to the airport. I couldn't sleep, so I caught a flight. Booked an early 6 a.m. flight. I gotta get back to the office and work on stuff more. I can inventory or whatever. All that. Yeah. I knew I couldn't sleep, but if you lay in there, once I woke up, I was like, there's no going back to sleep. That's why I fucking bother.